call this August 7th, 2025 Board of Education work session to order. George, can you take the roll?
Mrs. Bissell?
Here.
Mr. Griffin?
Here.
Mr. Micko?
Here.
Ms. Stachek?
Here.
Mrs. Hausum?
Here.
All present.
We could all rise for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is we will be entering into executive session for,
To consider the employment of a public employee.
thank you. George, can you take the roll?
No, we need a motion.
Sorry, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Haley, seconded by Kevin. George, can you take the roll?
Sure. Ms. Stachek?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Micko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. We will enter into executive session at 6:20, and we will resume public session at 7 p.m.
Here we go.
All right, we will resume public session at 7:05 p.m. Next on our agenda are strategic priorities. Our district has developed and is currently engaged in a 3-year strategic plan which reflects the values, beliefs, and hopes of our students, staff, parents, and community. There are 4 strategic priorities to the plan: transforming teaching and learning, aligning staff and resources, cultivating culture and climate, and leveraging funding and facilities. Our strategic priorities give actionable focus to our district's purpose and mission and guide the work of our strategic plan. Next, I'll turn it over to Dr. Ryba for recognitions.
Thank you, Ms. Hausum. We're always excited. This first meeting of every August, we get to recognize our outstanding track athletes. So I'm going to turn it over to our athletic director, Jason Kepler, to come up and get us started.
Hey everyone. Before I begin, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to recognize these kids and all the great things that they did. Before I go or get started, I just want to thank the coaching staff from the middle school. They pour a lot of time and effort into these kids, and they invest just so many hours into them. And every year we see these kids grow tremendously from the start of the season to the end of the season. So thank you guys very much. Before I bring Coach Blackman up to talk about the great things that her team did, I do at least want to kind of talk about a little bit of a focus out of the athletic office. And one of those big focuses is trying to get as many 3-sport athletes as we can get. And having said that, in the district we have 2 3-sport coaches, and Coach Blackman is one of them. She coaches basketball, track, and cross country for us. So I wanted to give her a little bit of an extra shout out because she goes above and beyond and she signs up for this stuff year round. So Coach Blackman, thank you. And would you mind coming up talking about your team, please?
Okay. First, I just want to say thank you to all the parents for always staying on your toes. This weather this season was not the best. So I know a lot of our track athletes are multi-sport athletes, and rain, snow, sleet, sunny skies all happened in one meet, actually, that they were able to juggle all their schedules and always get the athletes and communicate when the athletes could come. So, of course, I appreciate the parents. Also, I appreciate the Coach Koval for always giving us a good schedule. He's actually the one that got us into these meets in order to qualify for this state championship. So he's always talking to the other invitational coaches and making sure that we can always hold our position in there. So thank you for giving the middle school athletes the opportunity, because without that we wouldn't be able to. So the first person I'm going to recognize is Sammy Schultz. You get to like wave. No, I'm kidding. As you remember, last year we were here and Sammy was here, and this will not be the last time you'll see her. She will for sure be here as a high school athlete. She ran in the state meet, the open 100-meter dash, and she placed 19th with a time of 12.87. The 200-meter dash, she placed 10th with a time of 26.67. I just wrote a little brief synopsis about Sammy. Every time she stepped on the track, Sammy brought determination, heart, and the mindset to be her best self. Her positivity and work ethic set a tone for the team. She lifted others with a smile and staying focused. Even after placing 10th in the 200-meter dash, she wasn't discouraged. She felt like her season was complete because she had beat for the first time a competitor from a different school. So congratulations, Sammy, and I look forward to hearing about you at the high school. So you can, I think, go off to the side. I don't really know. Addison Eichenberger. All right, so Addison also went down for the 100 hurdles. And ever since last year as a 7th grader, Addison was always determined. She didn't care that she was a 7th grader, and she didn't care that she was competing against 8th graders. She never backed down from the competition. She always faced every race with fearless focus. Her goal was the same every meet, just to win. And every day at practice, that never stopped, right? It didn't matter the weather, again. She just was like, all right. She might have complained a little bit here and there. No, just kidding. But she laced up, and she didn't care. She just set forward and made sure that she could be her best. At the state meet for the 100 hurdles, she placed 15th with a time of 16.37. I know she's debating on doing track next year. I don't think it's an option now that we're here together. So, congratulations. And then Carly Cliche and Casey Junkerberg coming up. How do you guys come up? So this is the 4x2 team that qualified for this state meet, and they took 3rd with a time of 1 minute and 49 seconds. After the uncertainty that followed last year's events, no one knew what the future would be held. I know Sammy and Addison always said, we won't be back here. Who's going to be our next two? As Casey and Carly said at the end of this year, and I said, it's your guys' job to determine who's going to be the next two, right? So I think Sammy and Addison, you guys did a nice job bringing Carly and Casey in and showing them that it could be done. So Addison and Sammy, thank you for being the steady leaders to your relay team. Your guidance, I think, really opened it up for Casey and Carly. Carly was actually only a part of the relay team for about a week and a half, and she had no desire to go down to the state meet. So I want to very much thank her parents because they told her that it wasn't an option, and she was going. But we had Ava Anderson in our 4x2 team who got hurt, and she couldn't compete. So Carly stepped up and was able to help the team be successful. So thank you for believing in yourselves, you two, because I know there was a lot of times that you were uncertain. You thought you were doing a terrible job, and Addison and Sammy always made sure that you felt like you were doing your best. So, and congratulations, girls. And then one last person that couldn't be here today was Mariah Flannery. She placed for long jump for 2 years in a row. She could not compete either year, but I just wanted to give her a shout out for making it to the middle school state meet for 2 years in a row. And then I do have 2 gifts coming for you guys, but they just weren't ready. So they're on back order. Hopefully they'll come soon and you guys will have them.
Congratulations.
Can I say something? So if you guys don't mind, if you just don't mind. So one of the things so I love Danielle and Chris. They do a great job. One of the things that happened in the state middle school track meet, you have to take a lot of time to qualify for that and figure it out from an organizational standpoint. And there were years where we missed it. And so just wanted to acknowledge Chris and Danielle for organizing that and getting their plans in order so that our students can have these opportunities, and for the board and everyone else to support them. It's a really, really incredible meet, and it doesn't go unnoticed, the adults that take the time to get that organized.
Okay, now on to the high school track team. Before I bring Coach Alexander and Coach Koval up, I do want to thank them and their staff for all their sacrifices they made towards the team, towards personal things. Being a coach is a full-time job and a very part-time salary, and you guys sign up for it year after year because you love kids and you love to help them grow and you love your sports. I also want to give another extra shout out to Coach Koval. Earlier I mentioned how we have 2 3-sport or 3-season coaches in the district. We're lucky enough to have them both in the same room here tonight. Coach Koval, for the last couple of years, has coached cross country, indoor track, and outdoor track. And he's been a coach for us now for 26 years. So he's done it for a very long time. I think it might be some of the reason why he's bald a little bit. But Coach Koval, special shout out to you for all your time and your effort that you give to these kids. Would you mind coming up and with Coach Alexander to talk about your team?
Thank you. Danielle and Jason kind of stole some of my thunder because I was going to thank everyone, but that's already been done, so I don't need to do that. But I'm going to ask my kids, if you're a hurdler, stand up. I just want to, just saying, we have lots of hurdlers that go on. If you're thinking about it, all right, you guys, all right. To say that this season is a season for the record books would be an understatement. At one point during the season, in my weekly emails, I said that this doesn't happen very often, but I get to talk about another record that got broken. And it happened almost every single week in so many different ways. So I'm going to go over all the records that got broke. There were 5 girls records and 5 boys records. First off, on the girls' side, we had our distance medley. Hannah Jika, Marissa Smallhair, Madison Smallhair, and Lindsay Magyar, all of them sitting over there, broke that record. And that had been a record that they set the year before, and then it got broke again. And I actually lost a bet on that one. I just remembered that. I lost a bet, and I bet they challenged me or bet me that if they beat the record that they could glitter gel my head. So I'm still cleaning up glitter in my house, actually. That's a true statement. I do still find it in random spots. 4x8, girls 4x8 got a record set, 9:10:68. Also a record that was set last year, same 4 girls. Dr. Iba, I could say you're kind of a track guy now, because I read your letter, right? And a couple years ago, you asked me, like, I don't know, what's good? What's a good mile, right? And Dr. Iba is now running. And if I told you that our girls' record was 4:47 now, you would say that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. And then Madison broke our 300 hurdle record, and I'll just say, like, for me personally, being the hurdle coach, that was a special record to get broke, and that was standing since 1996, and it is now a 45:13. It was 45:94, so that's a good record. That might stand for a while. And then Hannah, again, in the 800 with a 2:10:37, which is half of a mile, still very fast. Hannah's not here today. And then on the boys' side, our shuttle hurdles, there's more hurdles happening. Shuttle hurdles record got broke. Walkowitz, Giuliano, Walkowitz, and Dillon, 101:18. And then our pole vault relay, our 3-man pole vault relay, and our 2-man pole vault relay, Jack Dillon and Nick Waite and Isaac Storm broke those. And then another very personal record, the 110 hurdles. I never thought that it would get broke, and this kid constantly impresses me, 1379. I really think that one might not go down for a while. Jack Dillon, and then Jack Dillon again in the pole vault with a 15-foot jump, which is really, really, really high. And then, kind of unofficially, Jack set our school, well, our all-time points on the boys' side, so all-time points and single-season points. And Mr. Griffin, I go all the way back to 2019. It was a special year for me, and this is one of those special years with the great Joe Gillette and all those guys, and I never thought those points would get broken. And as a freshman, Jack scored 38.5 points, and then 189.75 points, 271.32 points, 355 points his senior year for an outrageous number, and I don't know, that might be a long time set. So I'm going to introduce all the state qualifiers now. So if you guys will, I'm going to have you all come up at one time. So Madison Small here, 4x8 and 4x4, come on up. Marissa Small here, 4x8, 4x4, come on up. Lindsay Magyar, 4x8, 4x4. Hannah Jika, who's not here, 4x8, 1600, 800, 4x8. I just got to pause for a second and say, that combination's insane. It's really, really hard. Day one of the state meet, she had to run all four of those. And I remember running around trying to get ice and a garbage can, and I finally got it all put together to have her like stand in it, and she looked at me and said, "Can I just go to bed?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just go to bed. That's a good idea." Luke Giuliano, 300-meter hurdles. Caden Mobley, 4x4. Jacob Gasser, 4x4. Eric Bly, 4x4. And Jack Dillon in the 4x4, the 110 hurdles, pole vault, and the 400 meter. All right, so placing this year, our girls 4x8 placed and stood on top, or near the top of the podium at third place, and that's Madison, Marissa, Lindsay, and Hannah. And that, like I said, third place, so congratulations to them there. And then Hannah Jika placed third in the 16 and fourth in the 800, along with that third place finish in the 4x8. And she ended up scoring, the girls ended up scoring a total of 17 points, which placed them 11th overall at the state meet out of 77 total teams that scored. That's not all the teams that were there, but those are the teams that scored. So congratulations, ladies. Good job. And then Jack Dillon down there placed second in the pole vault, so almost at the top of the podium. Fourth place in the 110 hurdles and eighth place in the 400. And Jack single-handedly scored all 14 of our points and placed us also in 11th place out of the 77 scoring team. So congratulations, Jack. I'm just going to keep talking. Since Jack, I always make you wait till the end, I'm going to have you go first this time. So Jack is a 3-time team MVP, 2-time conference MVP, all the school records that he set, points leader, and really impressively, he is going to try to continue his career at Kent State to be a decathlete, because I'm not kidding you, the kid can do every single event. I cannot wait to see what happens. So congratulations, Jack. All right, I'm going to keep talking. Madison and Marissa. All right. I know they want me to get emotional on this one, but I'm going to try not to do that. So these two have a special spot because they dealt with me every day a lot. I had them second period in speed, strength, and wellness. I had them sixth period in pre-medical health. They're actually really, really smart, too. And then they had to deal with me at practice every day for a couple hours. And we got to talk every day and hang out every day. And I'm going to miss him. And there's a hole there that I have to fill. And maybe we have some hurdlers that want to step into that spot, but it was a lot. Summer training. So last year, at the end of the season, we talked a little bit and said maybe it's a good idea if they try to run the 8. And they're very resistant to that idea. And so instead of trying to convince them, I just changed their training. And over the summer, they worked incredibly hard. And there were times where I'd be up here for something else, and I would see these two out on the track doing a workout. And I know I didn't give it to them, so I know they're just getting work in all the time and doing hurdle work. And they really, 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 I mean, when I say they put in the time, they put in the time. They don't roll out of bed every day being the best athlete in the state. They had to really, really, really work at it, and they did that, and they earned those spots. They did run the 8, and they actually got really, really good at it. And I never thought that record, the 4x8 record, would be broke. I know we talked about it, and then as the season started and we started to see what they were doing, we were like, this record could go down again. So it did. They ran 300 hurdles, the 400 meter, the 800, the 4x4, the 4x8. And these two are also going to together combine and go to Slippery Rock and continue their career. And they are going to walk onto that team as probably the two best 800 meter runners on that team, and probably down the road be 1K kids, but they still fight that idea as well. Congratulations, Madison and Marissa.
Lindsay Magyar, she just completed her sophomore season. She was a regional qualifier in the 1600 where she ran 5:09. She was also a member of the state qualifying and school record-setting 4x8 relay that placed third in the state, as well as the state qualifying 4x4. This was her second time qualifying for the state meet. She qualified as a freshman and now as a sophomore. And she was also a crucial member of the school record-setting distance medley. I'm looking forward to coaching Lindsay in her junior year, and I know she will continue to have great success.
I mean this when I say I could talk all day about some of these kids. So I'm going to do two quick stories. All right, I'm going to start with Bly down there, another senior. Could not convince this kid to run a 400. Wouldn't do it. Insisted that he was a 100-meter guy. And I eventually convinced him when I did a workout, and I showed him, it's like a 400-meter predictor, and I showed him where I thought he could be. And he finally did it. I think it was the Berea meet, one of our very first meets, decided to run it. Ran a pretty good time, a 53, I believe it was. And then ultimately, by the end of the season, district meet, ran his best time, 49:10, got under the 50-meter or the 50-second mark, which is tremendous. And he just accepted it and went after it and did an incredible job. So that eventually led him to being a huge part of why we went after the 4x4 relay, because I could play around with Jack and put him in a lot of different spots, but that was a spot that I felt we could really get pretty far in, and it worked out for us. And so, Eric, congratulations with that. And now my next story, this is a fun one. Luke Giuliano, who's a sophomore, and when I say he's come a long way, I mean he has come a long way. Two stories. So we sometimes split our team, and half the team will go to one meet, half the team will go to another meet. So I'm in Berea, and he's in Buckeye, or somewhere, right? Was it Buckeye? Yeah. He's in Buckeye, and I get a video sent from one of the other coaches, and he's like, I don't know what you're coaching him, but he just did a 360 in the middle of the race. And I'm positive you're not supposed to do a 360. I don't know what happened, but he was tripping and did a full 360. Flash forward, so that's his freshman year. Flash forward to 1 year later, and he really committed to the training, committed to learning hurdles, and he's not the tallest guy, and the hurdles are very high. So his clearance is very, very minimal. There is no clearance when he clears a hurdle. And he slowly chipped away at his times, and they slowly came down. And then we get to the regional finals, which I couldn't believe we had 6 hurdlers qualify to the regional finals. And he has his best race of the year and ends up in 5th place. And I'm crushed. I'm like, man, we were so close. And then I remembered that the state of Ohio gives 2 at-large bids, so the next 2 fastest times. And so we go out to dinner afterwards, and we're sitting there, and we're like, what's going on? None of the results are coming up here. There was a tie in the 300 hurdles in Columbus, so they weren't posting any times, and it took forever until it finally came up. And then when it did, we were all sitting. It's like one of my favorite memories. We're sitting at the table, and we just started cheering. We found out he grabbed that last spot, and now he's experienced the state meet. It's a hard place to run the first time you do it, and I'm thankful that he's able to do it as a sophomore, so he's getting 2 more tries to get at back there. So congratulations, Luke. All right.
Caden Mobley. Caden just completed an amazing freshman season in track. He actually ended up the 2nd fastest freshman in the state in the 800, running 1:58. And he was also a member of the state qualifying 4x4 team where he split under 50. Caden was this year's Newcomer Award winner for our track team, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he improves as his years go on.
All right, we'll wrap this up here. So Jacob Gosser down there, he's a junior, 400-meter guy. Again, another one of the guys that we kind of had a question mark. Weren't sure how things were going to go as the season went on, and as it started to play out, he started to cut time. And again, we were able to go after this 4x4. He had a brief stint with the cross-country team because I thought I got him, and I thought I convinced him to train. And then he sent me that email. But I think he's convinced that he's going to try to push and run some 800s next year and move up, because I think that's a good spot for him. But he's also going to stay at the 400 because I'm not giving up on him yet there. So again, he's part of that 4x4 team that qualified to state. Ended up 11th. It's, not where they want to be, but man, it was a really good field and a really good finish for them. So congratulations to all of you, and congratulations to our middle school track kids, because that's awesome. I think we have some people to fill some spots now. So congratulations. I'm going to hand you these, and then you're going to walk and shake hands. Got it? All right. The best part about this year is I separated who's who from these twins, and I know the difference now.
Oh, my gosh.
You got it. I didn't know that. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys all for being here on one of your last summer nights. Congratulations to all of our students. Good luck to our graduated seniors. Some of you are going on to compete in college or just continue your studies, so we want to wish you well. And remember, you're always a Mustang. Now's a great time if anyone wants to leave and enjoy one of those last summer nights. We'll take a pause if anyone wants to go.
Nobody stayed.
Just Steve.
I've been watching some of those kids running since they were like in 4th grade. That's amazing. So fun. You know how to clear out a room.
Give them the opportunity. Thanks for staying, Maggie. All right, next on the agenda is public comment. Being that
I don't have any slips.
there's no public and there's no slips, so we will
Zing.
we will keep right on going. Going to turn it over to George for the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mrs. Hausum. I have one item for your consideration tonight and then one discussion item. The first item for your consideration, it is part of the consent agenda. It's the cafeteria price increases for breakfast, lunch, and a la carte for the cafeteria prices. Annually going into the new school year, we're required to complete a tool called the Paid Equity Lunch Tool to measure our lunch prices against the USDA target lunch price. Since we do get a federal reimbursement on our lunches, we do have to follow the Paid Lunch Equity Tool. So based on that tool, lunch prices had increased by 20 cents this year. Last year, they increased by 24%. So with the cost of goods, the prices do continue to go up. However, as we did last year, we do have the option of a one-year waiver to not increase prices for the upcoming year. However, I'm not recommending that we utilize the waiver because food costs are increasing annually, which may result in a greater deficit, and the waivers for 1 year, which delays the increase until the following year. The USDA target lunch price has historically increased annually, so if we keep delaying it, at some point we have to catch it up, and it's going to be one larger increase versus the incremental increases. So the target lunch price for this year is $4. Last year was $3.80. And that's an average of the breakfast, lunch for elementary, middle school, and high school together. So looking at the attached exhibit, the elementary breakfast would be $2. The elementary lunch would be $3.80. The secondary breakfast would be $2.25. The secondary lunch would be $4.15. So each one would increase about 20 cents. So on average, it'd come out to the $4. And then also we have increases attached to the agenda for a la carte prices. There are only a handful of items that increase, the ones that are highlighted in pink, and the increases that are just generated by the cost of the goods. We try and have a target ratio for profit, and to maintain that, as the price of goods increase, we have to increase the item as well. And then the last exhibit item is a promotion that the food service department started last year for Packers for a Pick 2 promotion, and they would like to continue that, and there's no price change for that. So the continuation of that product, to give Packers an incentive to come through the lunch line to grab 2 items for a discounted price. So, any questions?
Questions or comments? I know George and I talked about it, and it just seemed right to do the increments. I know we've all felt the price increases at the grocery store, and I would hate for it to come out of nowhere next year to raise, potentially 40 cents.
Yeah,
So
because if we
could do it
didn't
in
increase
increments.
it last year and had last year's increase plus this year's increase, we'd be looking at a 45-cent increase.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks, George.
The next item I have is a discussion item, might be a quick discussion item, but it's that time of year where we talk about the OSBA, the Ohio School Boards Association Capital Conference, delegate and alternate appointments. We'll have it on the next meeting for the board can nominate their delegate and alternate if they choose to. The Capital Conference is Sunday, November 16th through Tuesday, November 18th. The OSBA business meeting for the delegate is Monday, November 17th in the afternoon. This appointment is just for the delegate for the business meeting, as we can send one delegate that would represent us in the Ohio School Board's business meeting to vote on any policy changes or discussions that they may have. But every board member is open to attend the Capital Conference if they choose to. If you choose to, just let my administrative assistant Melissa LePage know, and Cameron Shelley Petrie as well, so we can get the board members signed up and registered for the conference. But this appointment's for the delegate. I know in the past Ms. Bissell has served, Mrs. Hausum has served, and Mr. Miko has served as well, so I think even Mrs. Cobain has served in the last couple of years as well, so I don't know if you guys want to talk more about it, or we'll just appoint the delegate at the next meeting. I'll let you lead, Mrs. Hauser.
Does anybody want to discuss it now, or? Think-
Probably to know who's going.
Right,
Planning to know.
right. I mean, I plan on going.
I'm going, but I believe I'm a clear delegate.
Okay.
So that would rule me out.
Okay.
I do, at this point in time, I do not plan on going.
I'd like to go.
Great,
I'd like to.
okay.
I'd
All
like
right.
to, but I'll know better before the next meeting.
Okay.
schedule-wise.
All right, so I'll talk to Kevin and Haley, and we will
Okay.
decide at the next meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Yep. And that concludes my report, if there's nothing else. Anything else?
Any questions for George, comments? All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
turn it
All right,
back
thank you, Ms. Hausum. So I have one item for discussion, which is half-day kindergarten. So, George, I think you have the spreadsheet up on your screen. If you want to click on the second tab, the option comparison for me. So as the board knows, I think in early July, I sent you an update that said, we're taking a look and watching half-day kindergarten numbers. And because at Kinsner and Sarrar Elementary School, they were low, and we were concerned about not getting enough students there that would justify running a section. So we wait, because typically half-day kindergarten, there's a little bit later enrollment. And so for the time of this, wanted to share with you an update and some options to consider. So as we frame this discussion, obviously, at the will of the board, you could give any direction you want, but at minimum, what I am requesting is either don't make any changes, keep it the same, or see where the numbers are at the end of the day on Monday, Cameron, and do the change that you and your team think is best for our kids and our school district. That's at minimum what I need tonight. So as you take a look, just a few highlights, and the board has seen this, but it'll list the enrollment. So we always try. We did this a couple years ago because of space needs, but it's not about space needs now. It's about just low enrollment. So we've got, at Chapman and Whitney, we've got 15 students enrolled in half-day kindergarten, 20 at Moraski, and Kinsner and Sarrar, what we're going to talk about the rest of the evening is we have 9 and 10. And we have none in the hopper yet. When the hopper, I mean people could go on and pre-register their kids on an online system. We see them and we consider them in the numbers until they come in and officially register. So right now, that's all we see is 9 and 10 are registered. So option A is, hey, we want to have half-day kindergarten at every single building. We don't want to make any changes. We're okay with allocating a full-time teacher to teach 2 half-day sections of 9 kids and 10 kids, okay? One of the reasons you would do that is you would say, like, hey, we believe more kids will enroll, or it's okay, we don't want to make any changes. The fact of that is we don't see a lot of kids enroll, specifically at Sarrar and Kinsner. We did 4 years of historical data. We average 1 half-day kindergartner that registers at Sarrar and Kinsner after the first of the year over the last 4 years. So the idea that, hey, if we wait, we're going to pick up some kids, the data doesn't say that happens, okay? But part of the plan would be to, depending on the board's direction, send out a message to all of our parents and say, hey, if you're going to register in the next, get in the system so we know that you're there and we can make decisions. The 2 options that we have are listed in column C and D. Column C just consolidates, eliminates half-day kindergarten at Kinsner and Sarrar. And that means we'd only have a half-day section at the remaining 3 buildings. We work with transportation, saying where would those 19 students go, and you could see the breakdown there. And just as a frame of reference, 25 is our class cap for half-day kindergarten. So that says that we would have, Chapman would be closed for half-day kindergarten if that stays true. And that for the rest of the year, we would have 6 available spots for anybody that moves in throughout the year.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
About that? When you, in terms of moving the numbers, did you do that based on location?
Yeah, so transportation took a look, because if we're gonna eliminate these, we would have to bus the students. So transportation went through all of the kids and said, here's where they would go based on proximity and transportation.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. The other option would be to just eliminate Kinsner, half-day kindergarten, and combine Kinsner and Sarar together. So instead of dispersing the 19 kids throughout the other three, we would just take the 9 and the 10 and combine them. That's where you get the 19 at. All Kinsner half-day kindergarten kids would go to Sarar for half-day kindergarten. And so obviously that allows us to have more open spots across the district. This places 9 kids instead of 19 kids. That is how that would work. So there's a lot of data here and information, and all of you have read that, so I'll answer any questions for the sake of not going through it line by line. I just wanted to highlight a few things. So if you take a look at row 6, there are some benefits there that we shared in terms of the buildings if each building would not have half-day kindergarten. So just as a highlight, at Kinsner, if Kinsner doesn't have a half-day kindergarten section, Art could have an actual classroom instead of being on the stage, provides additional space for the stage for overflow. There's more flexibility for events. Half-day kindergarten adds, X amount of more kids, logistics that would help out. And that encore teacher that would usually do a half-day kindergarten, is it still 20 minutes, Jenny? Do they do the full 40?
No, it's 20.
Okay, so 20 minutes, art, music, PE, they get 20 minutes of that a week, could be used to support in other areas. As you look at Sarar, there's more enhancements for Sarar if half-day kindergarten isn't there. Jenny, I'm going to let you talk about number 1, since that talks about kind of the encore rotation that's there, and you work directly with that.
Yeah, so what this means is that we have to take one of the third grade classes and split it because there's not a space to have another section for this third grade class. So one particular third grade, that third grade class, 25 students maybe would be split up among the other 2. So that encore teacher would take on additional, I think when we talked, Emily said, can't remember exactly the number, but she felt like it was still doable and safe. It would be over 25, obviously, though, in an encore class. And that results in giving them a percentage of the base to their salary. And I don't remember exactly the numbers, George, of how much that is, but it would be an additional cost for 3 teachers that they would get an additional. It's kind of like a 6th class, but the way, because they're not having to teach a whole different class, it's the same content, the same period.
It's like 6th class, I think it's around 7,000 to 8,000.
That's a 6th class, but this is just a teeny bit less than that, I believe.
So,
It's a little bit less than that.
Okay.
Yeah. So 3 of them would have to get that cost, and then it's, increasing obviously the class size for art, music, and PE for that period.
So as we take a look at the other parts, gives band and orchestra an additional space to practice and utilize. We've talked in the other parts about the staffing of how it would save us cost of a long-term sub because we would reallocate our staff. So there's some challenges to the plan, right? As we talk about I would not qualify them as any positives to this, right? It's just how do we deal with being financially prudent and equitable for student experiences across the district and the best use of our resources. But to take a look at the challenges you have with doing some of these consolidations, we understand that we are a week before school starts. And we've had preliminary conversations with our staff to say, you thought you were going to be a kindergarten teacher this year, and now you're going to be a teacher in another grade. And we understand telling families that you thought you were going to go to half-day kindergarten at Kinsner or Sarar, and now you're either all going to go to Sarar or you're going to go to different buildings. Those are just challenges that we have to acknowledge and understand and respect that we are, if the decision is to make a change, we are creating difficulty for others. But that difficulty is based on the idea we also have a responsibility to the taxpayers to say, what is equitable class sizes across the district, and are there class sizes too low? So, for example, outside of elementary school, because this doesn't happen anywhere else but half-day kindergarten once in a while, we have limits at the high school level. We are not going to run this class if the limit is below this level, because that is not good use of the funds to do that. And we find alternative ways for the kids to get some of those experiences. So I would be remiss just to talk about the nuts and bolts of here's the plan there's real challenges. These are talking about kids where they go to school. And we have to understand that I don't know these, I haven't looked at the sibling structure of these 19 kids, but I'm going to assume a good portion of them have siblings. And a good portion of those siblings are probably in elementary school, which means parents are going to have to deal with navigating 2 elementary schools, which is a challenge to take a look at. The biggest consideration that we really have to focus on is row 8, which is special education. So we have to remember that Sarar is a building that is home to our moderate intensive needs students. Sarar, Chapman, and Moraski. So again, you've read it, it's listed there. If we remove half-day kindergarten from Sarar, there's one student that we already know would have to go to Moraski to receive the services that student needs. At times, when families come in and they have a kindergarten child that has moderate to intensive needs, there's ways that we best serve them in a half-day program and utilize services outside of that in a different way. So it reduces some flexibility. Where if you would keep it the same, that eliminates that need, or if you move Kinsner to Sarar, Sarar would still keep that piece of it. So speaking on behalf of Andy, who we've worked with, if Andy had his pick would be either keep it the same or move Kinsner to Sarar, because having half-day kindergarten at Sarar Elementary School helps proactively address future enrollments or future needs that could be there. That would require new staff, new aides. And then the last thing there is the enrollment trends. The enrollment trends, as we've talked about, I have limited concerns based on the data of getting an upswell of Sarar or Kinsner kids enrolling into half-day, but it does give us pause in terms of how many available spots that we have for remaining half-day kindergarten students if we would go to the fully disperse, get rid of Kinsner and Sarar and disperse. The data says, I think the average, if I look here real quick, the average is we get 11 new half-day kindergarten kids a year. So if we ballpark for that, in column D, that gives us plenty of room for that. In column C, it makes it challenging to do that. So that is, that's what I wanted to share with where we're at with half-day kindergarten. Answer any questions you may have. Again, the plan of attack would be, based on the board direction, send out a communication to all of our parents tomorrow, letting them know that we're going to give it to the end of the day, Monday, to see where the numbers are at. And then by Tuesday, we would make a decision and get communications out there, because on Wednesday we have, even though it doesn't include kindergarten for everybody, but we do have open house. And if we're going to make moves, we want people in the right spot so they're ready for that.
So the question that came to my mind, if we go with column D, are there 9 spots in full-day kindergarten at Kinsner if those parents would opt to go ahead and move their child to full-day?
Let me look.
No? Okay.
Oh, it's in the other tab, right?
Currently,
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It's in the tab.
Yeah,
but There's
There's
a couple and a
8
couple
spots.
Oh,
spaces,
yeah.
but it's not enough to cover all of them,
Okay.
There's 8 spots for full
At
day
at Kinsner, okay.
just overall.
at Kinsner, yeah.
At Kinsner.
If
I
we
was-
stuck, and that's sticking to the 25 threshold that we like to do.
Well, because they've added some people that are to be registered. So what you've got is, we've got, yeah, the to be registered, we've got one person that has just put in that says they want to go to another building for full day.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, and then we've got 3 that are to be registered, so that means they've not come in, they're just in the system. So, for example, if we would make the decision on Tuesday, technically, there's some more than 6 spots, there'd be 7 spots, available for that. I would say, in terms of, if you're, just as a reminder, we did this 2 years ago. We did the same thing. We did not have Kinsner, we did not have Sarar. Sarar went to Whitney, Kinsner went to Chapman and Moraski. And we did that for space issues. And we had parents, come and share with the board some concerns, and those are all valid concerns. But we did not see that I recall a major upswell in people saying that they didn't want to have half-day. But that could happen.
I want to ask about the document with pros for moving half day out of SRAR.
Mhm.
And it says that band and orchestra would have a space to practice. Where are they planning to do that if we don't move them?
I'd have to figure that. I'd have to ask Emily. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I mean, they had a plan last year. I'm trying to think of, I would assume it would be the same plan as last
I mean,
year.
they used to use the media center,
Yeah,
so I suppose that would be,
Yeah, I'm
that
not
was
100%
2 years
sure.
ago. Last
Yeah.
year it was the half day.
yeah.
Kinsner was in the
Atrium.
atrium when you walked
Yeah.
in.
My only question was to make sure we have a plan, and it sounds like it, if, when we make this announcement, parents are like, no, well, now I want full day, but there's not enough room, so how are we gonna manage who gets that, who doesn't get that? Or if, like, they say, okay, we can't have our home building for half-day kindergarten, but I don't wanna go to Whitney, I wanna go to Kinsner, do we have a plan in place to make those accommodations? So that's my concern
Okay.
about this. Because it's obviously going to be painful for the parents, so to be as accommodating as we can, given
Sure.
our options, I think would be ideal.
Yeah.
Looking at the data, I wasn't able to ascertain how likely or unlikely is it that a new student would enroll without at Sarar for half-day kindergarten?
If I understand your question correctly, not likely.
Okay. 'Cause my concern is that in the discussion, if it did happen, we'd have to hire staff.
You're talking about with a student with a disability?
MI caseload.
Yes.
We'd have to hire staff, and at that point, I don't, so I'll start with, I thought everything in here was thoughtful and considerate, and is what we would want as a district. And we're making difficult decisions, trying to balance a lot of opposing constraints. But one of the things we're trying to do is to be fiscally responsible. And I want to understand how likely or unlikely it would be that, the way things played out, we did all of this attempting to be fiscally responsible, and it didn't matter. Am I making sense?
I think if you take a look at it from that lens, column D does not put us in a position to where we would have future costs in the risk of additional costs would be almost non-existent. Because we're not impacting, you are still keeping the third MI building online, and they've got the space and capacity to deal with that. And so that column D would be the one that would alleviate your issues of too many half-day kindergarten kids coming. It would eliminate the issue, as Michelle's talking about, of all the 19 people wanting to possibly go to full-day kindergarten, which we couldn't accommodate right now. And so, column D is the one that alleviates that. The question going of, hey, are we open to making this change or just staying the course? That's the part of taking a look at. If you go with column D, it saves you 50% of a teacher's salary. So that's the part of, that change, because it's half-day kindergarten. It saves you 50%, which I lose track. But if you take, George, you had that in, here, I have it. You look.
So a starting teacher salary is about 47,000. So you would have savings there for half, and then of half-time teachers not eligible for health care, so you would have that savings as well, which would be about another 20-some thousand.
Yeah.
Has it historically happened?
Yeah.
Was that an MI student enrolled?
It has historically happened more frequently in recent years. Last year was our worst year ever.
That it happened?
That it happened. The last couple of years have been challenging, but last year was the worst year we had with late enrollees coming of all grades, including kindergarten, that had moderate to intensive needs that we were not aware of or prepared for for the start of the school year. But again, column D is, whether you do column D or not, it's not going to have an impact.
Say that again, if you.
So if you take a look at, hey, we're not sure if we're going to have an influx of students with moderate intensive needs right in the week prior, the early weeks of the school year. In terms of space and services for them, we would be fine at consolidating Kinsner and going to Sarrar, because you'd have the special education space available, you'd have 6 additional spots available. Students with IEPs or not, we've averaged 1 new student at Sarrar, so we would be okay. You would just have to consider 19 kids versus 10 kids in a half-day kindergarten classroom.
When families sign up for half-day kindergarten, do we have any kind of language that provides a warning or an understanding that if we do not have the appropriate number of students, that there may be a change?
I don't think we've done that, have we? Not that I know of, Kevin. Yeah. It's a good suggestion moving forward.
I would like us to, if I can,
Yeah.
if we could do that, that I think would be
That's a good
nice little
practice.
warning.
Yeah.
Because I feel like 2 years ago, and maybe there is something in there, but people were pretty surprised by it when we talked about it 2 years ago.
Yeah, I like that. I like that suggestion, because this is not going to be a problem, a problem that's going to go away until we say as a district we're going to go to full day kindergarten for everybody.
I want to see if I understand this correctly, Cameron.
Mhm.
If I'm looking at column C and column D, and we're talking about the MI students.
Yeah.
Instead of dispersing the 19 over the course of the 3 remaining schools, if you disperse them over 2, let's say Chapman or Muraski, and then Whitney for sure, those buildings both have MI spaces, correct? Chapman and Muraski.
Correct, yes.
So if you left one of those open, that would eliminate the concern about having an MI student at Sarrar. Is that accurate? Like extra enrolled, we're talking about what if MI students enroll, moving and having room for them?
Yeah.
If we don't fill Chapman now and we don't fill Muraski now, and we front load Whitney, does that not provide the same relief?
Are you saying
So we have MI spots open still at Chapman and or Muraski, so don't fill Chapman. Leave them at 20 instead of 25.
Are you talking about column C?
I am.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah. So that would eliminate what do we do if we get 5 enrolled? We put them at Chapman. Or vice versa, Muraski's more in the center of town. We put them at Muraski. Does that accomplish the same goal?
It doesn't, because you then have the caseloads of MI kids that have different number requirements. So that's the other piece of it, is at the buildings, they are close to the cap of MI students in the building. So
Okay.
even if you would get that down to 20,
It doesn't.
you have
doesn't
this other issue. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then what burden would it put on transportation?
Right.
Since they've gone through.
Well, are 9 or 10 students, does that still give the students a good educational experience? Do we know that? If we're
Just
looking
having
at-
9 or 10 kids in a
That's right.
classroom. Yeah. You know, there's different viewpoints of it, right? So there's the part of it of, it depends the makeup of the students in the class, right? It depends of, do you have a good scope of students and student skill sets? And so there is the positive, and I think the average teacher would say, give me 9, right? I'll sign up, and it's all good intention. And what we say from a research perspective is, lower class sizes have a positive impact on student achievement and growth when the teachers do things differently because of the low class sizes. Doing the same things you always did with 25 kids, you're just doing it with 9 kids, then 9 kids, research has shown, they're not going to have a difference. It's, I'm going to do different things because I have fewer kids. But you do run into that thing. You do run into that issue of, based on the number of kids you have, where the needs are. It could be an extreme positive, it could be an extreme detriment. It makes a difference on the kids that are there. Speaking on behalf of the teachers, I think they would, now this is a general statement, is that because half-day kindergarten is 2.5 hours versus a full day, the ability to spend time with instruction and intervention and supports for our students in that half-day program are more significant. I think the other part you could look at is we have, and we've had this discussion, we have, again, to be very simplistic, we have two groups of families that choose half-day kindergarten. We have the group of families that say, this is my last year with my 5-year-old, I want to have that time with them. We're going to the zoo, we're going to the Natural History Museum, we're doing these things, we've got all these experiences. And then we have another group of our families that can't afford the tuition for full-day kindergarten, so it's a financial decision to go to half-day kindergarten. And there's different variations, right, but in terms of the example. And so I think, the small class sizes, would be extremely helpful for maybe the families that really their kids would be better off in a full-day program. They would want it. They just can't financially afford it.
So I think you guys have done an awesome job putting the data together, so thank you. It's very thoughtful and gives us a full snapshot and picture. My inclination is to think about the human impact on all these people, and then to think about how we as a organization can better communicate what could happen in the future and signal this for folks. But being a week out from school, it's a tough pill to swallow, given the understanding of the financial ramifications. They're not that significant. I think walking in here, I was really leaning towards option D, or the option in column D. But boy, I'd love to, number one, get a little bit of credit for the school board thinking about these families and the school district, and it would take a lot for me to not want to really give hard consideration to the option in column B, which is really to stay the course. It's a week out is tough.
Mm-hmm.
A week out is tough on a lot of different people,
Yeah.
and we can maybe figure out a way to recoup the cost that we would have saved in some other way.
Where do we have room for the half-day teachers if we were to move them and not have them do that anymore?
So if we would eliminate the half-day kindergarten program, the current kindergarten teacher that would have that would go and take a job that's currently filled by a long-term sub for a leave. And then that long-term sub, there's a lot of maternity leaves and different leaves. So nobody would be out of a job. It would just be reduction or move to a different place, and then finding, assigning somebody to be that half-time position for kindergarten.
So that close to the deadline, there's still positions for them to go to?
Correct, yeah, it's long-term sub positions that they would have, yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, we're already budgeted for this.
Correct.
So this is not, this would be opportunistic,
Yeah,
not,
right.
okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We just do have to consider there's a little bit of a challenge hiring a half-day kindergarten teacher right now.
Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't have to do that in the current, in column D, column
In
B.
column B, no.
Yeah, right.
No, we're already set.
You got it.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that you actually might see the opposite if we stay the course? Kinsner has 67 full-day kindergartners and Srar has 50. That parents will opt for the smaller class and drop down to half-day?
I'm not sure.
I'd be curious to
It's an
see
interesting idea.
if that would happen, because I think there are parents, like you said, that
Yeah.
might see an advantage to
Yeah.
that.
Is there lunch at half-day kindergarten?
No.
The other thing that has been in the back of my mind since we started talking about this is, these are our 2020 babies. These are the first 2 years, solid 2 years of their lives, they were living in a pandemic. And I just wonder how, if any, impact that will have. And if staying the course with the smaller class sizes would actually be a benefit for them.
I think we're all wondering.
Right, I think, yeah.
I think there's a lot of question about what happens with this class
Right.
of students.
Right, I would go back to Kevin's question to say, the probability that these lower class sizes are going to be a benefit for our kids far outweighs the potential of it, not.
So to be clear, I could get behind column B, but we also need to have a communications plan going forward to let folks know this could happen, and hopefully we can get ahead of this in the months of May and June, as opposed
Yeah.
to sitting in August.
Well, I mean, just so I understand, if we stay with column B, which is make no changes, what do we have to communicate?
For the future years.
Ah.
So, yeah, so future years. So
Different
folks
story.
know that
Now-
this is an
yeah, yeah,
option, that
Right.
this could
This could
change if we
potentially
don't have
happen.
Sure.
enrollment numbers that are appropriate.
And I just looked up our kindergarten sheet, and we do say that, but it says it for full-day kindergarten sections consideration. It doesn't mention half-day.
One of the things just in discussion is the challenge we have with half-day kindergarten, and again, this has been a growing challenge, is people wait later and later to register. But going on, if we improve our communication to say, we are going to look at this as of July 1st, and we're going to make decisions as of July 1st, because we can't wait to this last minute, I think that could be helpful and
Right.
maybe motivate people to get out and register early.
Yeah.
Thank you for the thoughtful presentation.
Appreciate it.
Everybody's good?
What, did we give him direction?
So-
Should I guess we wait till? We're
So
waiting
the
till Monday no matter
options
what?
go ahead, go over our options.
Yeah, so the option is going on what Kevin suggested, stay the course.
Right.
The second option is, no, let's get through Monday and see where we're at, and if we don't get to whatever number, kind of equitable numbers here, then, as we've talked about, even though there's two options, option D is really the only feasible option, as we've taken a look holistically at the data, so.
But we could get to Monday and nothing could change and we could still stay the course though. if
Correct.
we want to.
Yeah, so that's what I need to know today. Stay the course, or make a
Right.
change.
Is there anything to vote on if we're just staying the course? This is a normal course of business?
Right, we just have to let Cameron know that we all agree to stay the course. And I'm comfortable with,
Yeah.
with that. If the number, come Monday, if they haven't changed, just stay the course. But I'm only one person, so
But if the numbers change and we stay, I'm.
we're still saying the course.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
trying to make sure I understand.
Right,
If we stay the course, we stay the course.
right,
Stay the course, we're saying we're cool with 9 and 10, and if more people enroll, then that's fine.
right. You're good with
I'm
that?
good with
that. Okay. Haley,
I'm good with that.
okay.
Okay. I appreciate the discussion and the guidance, and I'll keep everybody up to speed. Yeah. With that, Steve's going to come up and continue the discussion we started last time on tablets on school buses.
All right, evening, everyone. So another discussion going to happen here. So just wanted to further the discussion, answer questions that were posed to me last board meeting, and give clarification. So the question about insurance came up. I contacted our insurance company. They sent the information to the underwriters, and it came back with no increase or decrease, any cost whatsoever to have tablets on the bus. They're researching best practices to give to us. I haven't got the information yet, but I did some research on my own, and these mobile devices, as they're called, or tablets, there's nothing specifically about them in Ohio Administrative Code or Revised Code, other than it falls under the umbrella of drivers are not to be distracted by any two-way communication. Basically, it's aimed for cell phones. So, in the opinions that I saw, as long as it's not a two-way communication, as long as it's basically a turn-by-turn navigation, to harken back to the Garmin's that nobody at home is going to know what I'm talking about. Those types of items are okay. There is a location and a placement that needs to be done, so it's not obstructing the view. Both companies that I'm looking at in their installation costs would come in and consult with us on where those need to go, show the mechanics where they need to go, and then moving forward as they get placed in the buses, the mechanics would know not only how they're supposed to be hooked up, but also the placement of those brackets and the devices themselves. So that's, from the legal standpoint, that's where we're at. From an insurance standpoint, that's where we're at. I know one of the other questions was as far as the usability of these and how user-friendly they are. I can tell you I have not personally held these. I've seen the demonstrations from the two companies that were able to demonstrate their products. I know there was 3 companies last week, but the more research that I've been doing, for the reason we discussed at the board meeting, I've in my mind, I've eliminated Samsara just because we would have to buy the tablets for the buses ourselves, and then we would own those tablets. And while the cost would, of course, be as cheap as we want it to be, the cost of trying to find out why those aren't interfacing with the software, and the time, and just the cost of ownership at that point, I think, would negate whatever savings we would see pretty quickly with that. So the usability I've seen with the 2 demonstrations that I saw was very comparable. Of course, the salesmen, because they do their job, they'll tell you how it's so proprietary and it's very different. But I can tell you, regardless of the accent of the voice or the tone of the voice, it's telling you it's still turn by turn. It's very intuitive, as it was demonstrated to me, very user-friendly. Changing out, getting other routes is 3 or 4 touches on the screen, depending on the device that you have. We would be able to call to the driver and say, bus 78 isn't here today. You need to pick up half of 78's route. You do the first half, another bus does the second half. Now we would have to have them come in, grab the route book, and follow the piece of paper. With this, a couple touches, Route 78 comes up, and there's your turn-by-turn navigation for the driver without having to come in or have a piece of paper in their hand. All of the systems, or both of the systems, I should say more specifically, do have the ability to turn off the visual, or have, so it's just the audio running, or you can have both running at the same time. The reason for that is that, of course, these are national companies selling tablets across the nation. Certain states have certain rules about visual being accessible while the bus is in motion or not. So these are very adaptable systems to whatever, not only what the current legal system would be, but if there was something to come down from the state legislature to say we've had too many bus accidents, tablets now have to have no visual while buses are in motion. Both the systems do have the ability to adapt to those types of changes as well.
And Steve, before you go on, I just linked in your board docs, Steve's slides from before, so maybe if you go to another agenda item and go back, it should be there, or refresh. Okay, keep going, Steve.
And I did add to that slide, there's a second slide there that does a TransFinder versus CalAmp side-by-side comparison for pricing as well. Lastly, I know it was asked to talk to the vendors to see if there was a possibility of us having some pilots of these devices. Both vendors were amenable to that. However, I do need to make you aware, with a 3-week shipping of the tablet, another, let's say, for sake of argument or discussion, because we don't want to argue, for sake of discussion, another 3 to 4 weeks to pilot. We're now looking at October to order these. Realistically, these will not be here and ready to go, fully implemented until Christmas if we do that. It's just, once these things are in full motion, now we got to take some off routes and that Some of the concerns, of course, with doing that are variables remain the same. We're going to have to install them no matter what we do. But now you're looking at 2 months plus installation versus ordering now and installation. I'm not saying either way what my preference is going to be. I think that there is validity to piloting these systems because of the price tag and looking at them and get some feedback from the drivers on them. It just comes with the consequence of it's delaying the implementation of this device later on into the school year. So again, no judgment on that on my part, just the facts that you would be delaying it for maybe 2 months. If we chose to not purchase anything tonight and go with me contacting the vendors to get the piloting program, I would not be back next month. It'd be a few months before I'm back to give you my recommendation based off of that feedback.
I just want to make sure I understand this data correctly. For TransFinder, it's a 3-year contract, and it's approximately $50,000 more than a 5-year contract with CalAmp.
CalAmp, yeah.
CalAmp, and you don't see, at least from talking to them, there's no significant difference in usability.
No. So the difference that you're seeing reflected there, thank you, I neglected, is the cost of ownership versus the cost of renting. So as you can see, that first year with TransFinder, that cost is way up. It equalizes to Synovia's in year 2 and 3. It gets in the ballpark. The reason is with TransFinder, we're buying the tablets outright from another company called Zonar. All right, so they work hand in hand, which is also a preferred provider with OSC. That's really the difference, is the implementation year, and as well as the duration of the agreement itself. As far as the renting versus owning, the longer I've been in this position, and maybe just age and experience and all of that that's coming to pass, I'm less inclined to own technology today than I was 3 years ago, especially because you never know what the software is going to be doing. I did talk to both reps. With Synovia, with TransFinder, of course, it's an all-in-one package. We're already using the routing software. All the pros are still there. When I did talk to the vendor and say, okay, what if I have some bad tablets? It happens. The response was, well, we'll go to bat and get you some of those replacements. Whereas with CalAmp, because it's a rental, if there's some bad tablets and something, then they swap them right out because we're renting instead of owning. Same thing if there happens to be an upgrade. Famously, tablets, as soon as you get them, all of a sudden, as soon as you pay that off or whatever it is with the cell phone company, now that next upgrade's available and you're right back to where you were. With CalAmp and renting, if there's an upgrade that somehow the software is not able to be compatible, that would all be covered under the agreement that we get the replacements and the tablets that are needed. With TransFinder, there would have to be some kind of replacement fee because we own those day one. And there is the option with CalAmp to buy after 5 years, but trying to stay true to my argument, I don't know how valuable they'll be after 5 years for the purpose that they've been purchased for. So that's the major difference between the two.
Thank you.
Have you, I know you have, but other districts that have used it, is it as simple as, hey, it don't work, replace it? 'Cause
Yes.
the salesman will tell you that. And
Yeah.
then when you try to replace it, well, we're out of them, it's going to take 5 days.
So I have talked to some of my counterparts, and they both said the companies have been receptive, but the ones I know that have TransFinder, they said it was a little bit more of a process to get it replaced. Ultimately, it was, but it is a little bit more of a process because you own it versus, hey, this isn't working, we rented it, just swap it right out.
And is that in the contract?
I have not read the contract line by line because I haven't seen it yet. I've just seen the quotes.
Because everything you've said makes sense, and, in my day-to-day job, those are the trends also. And, the real world intrudes, and you can have all of the hey, it's a lease, get it replaced. And it's like, oh yeah, we'll replace it. There's a 10-day lead time, right? So I just want to make sure we're clear on the expectations with the company that if we have problems, it's 24 hours, whatever.
Well, and I did talk to both about getting some spares.
Okay.
So there's at least 2 spares that are built in. Now, as the transportation world ebbs and flows, as previous discussions that I think we've had enough discussions tonight, we don't have to get into previous ones. As we have more buses that possibly are not used, we can always keep renting those, or if with TransFinder we've already purchased it, we could just keep it. So we have a little bit more on stock. I want to have some in stock in case, but I don't want to have so many in stock that we're not being fiscally responsible either.
Yeah,
So that's-
anecdotally, I'll share the story that's making me scratch my head. A friend bought a new car, drove it off the lot. The next day, the indicator, the engine light came on. He called. Yeah, we can get you in 3 weeks. Brand new car. And it's not that, I mean, again, engine light coming off the next day on a brand new car is concerning, but the part that's really concerning is I just bought this brand new car, and
Yeah.
the soonest you can service this brand new car is 3 weeks back. So,
You
but
should have
I'm
rented.
sure you'll be on top of it.
You should have rented.
Should have leased it.
Did I hear you correctly that implementation would take place in December?
If we do the pilot program,
If we do the pilot
that's my guesstimate. It's, at that point, it's how long do we want to pilot them for? And again, I'm not opposed to the idea.
Yeah.
It's just we're delaying the purchase. I know I can hang on to some of this pricing because, of course, the salespeople, they want to have their boats for the summer. So they'll hang on to the pricing as long as possible. I don't know how fast some of these prices will hold. Eventually, they're going to have to go up.
I'm typically all for trying something before I buy it, but I'm really struggling to see what we're gonna find with TransFinder that's going to make it worth an extra $200-some thousand. Especially with like the renting versus the owning. I see a lot more potential hiccups with owning. But I'm looking at the price and I'm struggling to see how it could be $200,000 better. I'm just extrapolating from the data that's here. So that's where I am, is I love to try things, but I just don't know what I'm gonna see.
Other comments, questions?
Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I'm trying to do the math.
200,000, what?
150,000. That's a 3-year contract, so then we roll it all over again. No, it would be just shy of 200,000. Start it again in year 4, and it's another 100,000, another 100,000. So we're literally talking $250,000 more for TransFinder. Unless they have it hold for longer, then it's the 47. Maybe, maybe not. We don't know.
Now I understand your.
3 years versus 5 years.
Yeah, I'm just
Right,
really, when the
right.
5 years is already cheaper, it's a rental, we're
We're
guaranteed
locked in.
upgrades, we're guaranteed, like, I'm really struggling to see why we would do the other one. Even though there's some benefits in terms of its compatibility with our program, I get that. That's where I'm stuck, is I just don't see how it could be worth that much more.
Right.
And I know that this is, so I don't disagree with you, so I don't want to press my luck here, but it is a bit anecdotal for us, I mean, in the business department. But I know we would have a lot of phone calls because also going with TransFinder means going with a whole new parent app. That would also need to be switched over halfway through the year. So again, that's nowhere on here as a line item for cost, and it says business services outside my office, but that is something that we had to deal with, and that would be something we would have to deal with again, doing some kind of changeover, especially middle of the year.
Yeah, I'd like to avoid that if we possibly could. Other questions, comments?
Yeah, I think we need to talk through the pilot thing. My concern is that on the one hand, everything you discussed makes sense about the delay. My concern is without hands-on evaluation by our bus drivers, we find out as we use it that there are substantial or some kind of conflict or usability or what have you. I mean, in my mind, I'm expecting it to be like Waze or Google Maps or what have you, and I know whenever I plant the signs for graduation, I get my address list and I put it in and I upload it to my phone, and as soon as I plant the sign, I tell my phone, click, and it tells me where to drive. I'm assuming that's the level of feature, but I have no idea. And I'm not the bus driver, right? So I understand the rationale for making a decision, but I don't want to regret the decision. So I would advocate to get the pilot and take our time to do it well. We've been doing it the way we have for.
I was going to say, what's 2 more months now?
I'd rather do it well and do it right and do it once than revisit this in 5 years.
Right, the only thing different is we are adding 10 floating bus drivers that we haven't had in the past.
Mhm.
So it's not like they're not going to be relying on these pieces of paper. My only concern is safety. Have you talked to other districts about how they work? Like, is it like Waze and Google Maps?
Yeah, I mean, they just say it's the turn by turn. You can see
Yeah.
the line, and some of them have a square to indicate where the stop is at. Some have a circle. You know, it really is the difference between, and I can't tell you why I use Google Maps more than Waze. At one point in my life, I used Waze. I just went over to Google Maps, and I never went back. I don't know. But, you know, there's some, yes, I would say that's an accurate comparison, that they pretty much do the same thing, that there's just some bells and whistles that are different. Again, I'm not advocating not getting the pilot program, but the other thing I want to bring to your attention in the comparison is in that pricing, TransFinder does not come with a student attendance piece, and CalAmp, Synovia does as well. Again, I don't think that goes to bear with the current discussion, so I'm not trying to regress it, but I did want to point that out as you go to the head-to-head comparison. Even if we do the pilot moving forward, I would have to get a revised quote for TransFinder to add the student attendance piece, which is tablet there, barcode scanner there. We would issue barcodes to, as nervous as it makes me, we would issue barcodes to the students, and even in the elementary school, we would have to come up with some kind of, you know, basically from discussions I've had, a pocket, you know, that those things stay in, and then they get attached to the backpack.
Doesn't say
And as
backpack
students
tag.
come on, they actually scan in, and that's real-time data about who's on that bus as well. They both have that option. I just wanted to point out the quote for TransFinder, they did not put that in there. I can have them add that, but it's just going to increase the overall cost as well for TransFinder.
So, and I'm not suggesting we pilot both. I'm suggesting that before we purchase
CalAmp?
CalAmp, we test it.
That one.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Oh, yeah, I was thinking.
so Richard, I would 100% agree. I think the downside of that would be if CalAmp doesn't perform for the drivers, then we're kind of back to square one with one option. But I would agree, we can't, I would need to test them out before we buy them. So it just pushes your timeline back, should the drivers not like the product.
So how many units would they let us pilot?
I didn't get specific with them, but I could say 5
Okay.
for sake of the discussion. I can press them for 5 and see where we end up.
How many drivers do we need?
I was
How many
just gonna
part-time or fill-in drivers do we have?
Suggest and say, I hope that if that's the case, then our floating drivers would be our pilot drivers. That's just what I would hope, but I leave it up to you.
Okay. I'll forward that request to them.
How many drivers do we have?
As of right now,
Mhm.
because we've had some added in.
Or better yet, how many buses do we have?
We have we're getting 81 devices.
I think 81 tablets is a great pilot.
Sure that will go over well.
You can always say, if it works, you got the contract and we're done.
So is that the consensus of the board, pilot the one
Everyone's good
program?
with that?
Yeah, I think I'll.
Everybody's good? Okay.
All right, so with that, George, we're going to need your help because number 2, we put that on there as a placeholder just in case the board wanted to move forward, so we don't need to vote on that, so how do we work that?
There's been no action item taken on it yet, so we could just remove it from the agenda.
Just remove it, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll remove number 2, which was voting on a potential contract.
So how long will we pilot? Like, what are we gonna,
I can talk to the vendor and see what the normal is. I would say a month
okay.
or so.
So before I hit delete, I'm deleting number 2 off the agenda, correct?
Correct.
If you refresh, it is no longer there.
All right, so Steve, why don't you keep going with your,
Steve, if I can, just real quick, I mean, the pilot needs to be as long as it needs to be. It doesn't, if 2 weeks is plenty, and you're able to come back with a recommendation, then I'm comfortable with that. I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, but we need to do it. We need to do it well, but we don't need to have a predetermined, it has to be this long,
Okay.
right?
All right. Thank you for the direction. The next item, which is now number 2, is a pupil transportation agreement with a company by the name of TLC for the 25-26 school year. This is another almost, just like Suburban. When we can't transport or it doesn't fit into our transportation scheme, we do hire third parties. This is another company that we could have at our disposal for that. The next item is a resolution by recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education accepts the proposal from GPD Group for K-12 planning services not to exceed $49,500.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
second?
Motion by Haley, second by Michelle. Steve, will you explain what we're voting on?
I would love to, but I don't think I do it nearly as well as Dr. Ryba.
I mean, I could take a shot, right?
Yeah, right. So, GPD has worked with us for about 1.5 years to help support community engagement to look at a potential bond project for new elementary schools. As the community knows and the board is well aware, we've had a 1.5 year process with the Elementary Facility Planning Committee. We've held town halls, and we've committed to being on the May 2026 ballot for a combined bond and operating levy issue. And there is now a lot of work between August and May to get all of the things in place that are needed to get in place to be ready for this bond issue. So this is an agreement with GPD. This does not mean that they're our architect. That comes after a bond is passed, and that's determined at a later date. This is just who we are recommending based on our partnerships and the work that they've done together to work with us on all of our pre-bond work. So the board has seen in my board updates the timelines, the spreadsheets of all the things that we have to do. The OFCC and the L program, they help with that. They're helping, you know, we had a community member share an idea in lieu of a field house. They're helping provide information in that realm. We talked today about soil borings at our at our potential building sites to look at the suitability of those grounds. And you can go along with the fact of they'll now start working with us on making sure the scope of what we actually need in the buildings, the number of classrooms, the number of art rooms, gymnasiums, things of that nature, looking at funding, construction costs, timelines, all of that pre-bond work, helping to develop visuals for us to share with our community about here's what a new elementary school can take a look at. It will also support, although we probably did this about 4 or 5 years ago with the enrollment study, it will provide another enrollment study that can give us a determination of where we're going as a community. So that's broad overview, some of the scope of services that will get us from August to May, and then get ready for the bond project that will be on the ballot.
Any questions, comments?
And it will be out of the 070 fund.
Great. George, can you take the roll?
Ms. Stavcek?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes. Motion passes.
And then the one thing I'll add, at the August 25th meeting, I'll have an appropriation adjustment to appropriate the funds for the 070 for this.
All right. The last item is the Sarar Elementary Playground, and this is a resolution, the recommendation of the superintendent to accept the proposal from Vasco Asphalt for excavating and paving the Sarar Elementary School playground, not to exceed the amount of $58,772. And this pricing is available through the NCPA Consortium, which is part of the Omnia Partners Company.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Haley, second by Kevin. Can you explain? Please say
Sure.
we're not
So what?
paving over Sarar's playground.
So as part of the desire to relieve the congestion that is at Sarar currently, we're reconfiguring that whole parking lot. And the concept is returning the parking lot to, as you're facing the building, to the left. Instead of it being a playground, it is a parking lot. Teachers can park there, guests can park there. If there's events, people can park there. And actually creating a playground that is connected to an asphalt playground to the mulch playground that's in the rear of the building.
Any questions, comments? Great. George, can you take the roll?
Sorry. The contract says stripe playground can be added if desired. I'm assuming that's not going to be added.
No.
Thank you.
We'll do that in-house.
Ms. Stavcek?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
We do have a couple items under curriculum. First, it's a recommendation that the following student be placed for a classroom environment field experience at Whitney Elementary School, assigned to Jamie Yonkoff from Franklin University. Item number 2 is a recommendation as well for a student to be placed for an integrated classroom and field experience at Kinsner Elementary School with Susan Baraga, again from Franklin University. Any questions on curriculum? Under student services, the first item is to enter an agreement with Monarch Schools of Belfair Jewish Children's Bureau for special education-related services for the placement of a student with disability for this upcoming school year in the amount of $98,026.20, with the extended school year costing $8,168.85, for a total of $106,195.05. Under number 2, this is an agreement with Applewood Centers, operating a school known as the Gearson School for students with disabilities for this upcoming school year in the amount of $49,388 for the special education and related services provided to each student there. We do have a foreign exchange student recommendation for tuition-free enrollment of a foreign exchange student from the Czech Republic. Number 4 is a recommendation to enter into an agreement with PSI affiliates in the amount of $87,141.60 for social worker services to service students in the Strongsville City Schools district-wide. So as you know, we have 2 social workers in the district. One is a district employee, and one is a contracted employee through PSI, and that's what this one is for. The next one, under item 5, is again, enter an agreement with KidsLink LLC for placement of a student with disabilities. Part of this was for last school year prorated with the start date. And then number 6 is for this upcoming school year, placement at KidsLink in the amount of $98,000. Any questions on student services?
Dr. Iba, does number 5 need to be corrected for the school year?
Let me look at the exhibit. The exhibit has the same.
24, 25,
25, 26 if the start date is August 11th.
Number 6 needs to be updated.
Yeah, in the term, it's the August 11, 2025, yeah.
All right, I'll make the.
Oh, hold on one second. No, because then it says, dates of service are identified by, it says 9/1/2024. I believe this is correct from what Andy shared with me,
Okay.
but we can correct it in the future if it's wrong, because it's got, in the term, it's got the date of last year. It's got both.
5 and 6.
So I would just suggest we approve it as is until we can confirm, and then if we need to correct it, we can correct it at the next meeting.
Okay.
All right. With that, I'm going to have Jenny do the human resource report.
Thank you. Under Human Resources, we have the following items for your consideration. We have resignation for certificated staff member, resignations for non-certificated staff members, resignation for certificated athletic supplemental contract, resignation for non-certificated athletic supplemental contracts. And then we have, you don't have to accept this one if you don't want to. We have a retirement for one of our leadership friends over there behind the camera. So congratulations to Scott, but he'll be with us all year, so. We have appointments for certificated staff, appointments for non-certificated staff, appointments for non-certificated substitutes, appointments for certificated athletic supplemental contracts, appointments for non-certificated athletic supplemental contracts, appointments for non-certificated on-board instructors. We have change in status for non-certificated employees, change in status for certificated athletic supplemental contract, changes in status for non-certificated athletic supplemental contract, stipends for our instructional coaches, stipend for resident educator coordinator, leaves of absence for certificated staff, leaves of absence for non-certificated staff. We have volunteer chaperones and volunteer coaches. And then we have 2 revisions for your consideration. A revision to the agenda on February 27th, 2025. Under the Human Resources Report, under appointments, certificated athletic supplemental contracts, I think we just mixed up the names here. Chris Koval is revised from assistant cross-country coach to head boys cross-country coach at Strongsville High School. And then the second one is from the same agenda, February 27th, 2025, under the Human Resources Report, under appointments for non-certificated athletic supplemental contracts. We had a revision to Aubrey Alexander from head boys cross-country to assistant cross-country coach at Strongsville High School. And that concludes the Human Resources Report.
That concludes my report unless there's any questions.
Can we be mischievous and vote no on those changes?
Maybe not after tonight, I don't know.
Right.
Okay, moving on to our consent calendar. Adoption of consent calendar. Action by the Board of Education and adoption of consent calendar at this point of the agenda means that all items appearing in this agenda denoted as type action consent, which items constitute the consent calendar, are adopted by one single motion unless a member of the board or the superintendent requests that such items be removed from the consent calendar and voted upon separately. Does anyone have anything they need removed and voted upon separately? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I sound so eager and everyone else sounds so.
George, you take the roll.
Ms. Stavcek?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
And Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, we have board policy, third reading, first and second readings waived of a revised policy 6320, purchasing and bidding. Any questions, comments on that? All right,
Give some context if you want.
sure. That'd be good.
This policy was revised in February 2025. Prior to that revision, it was revised in 2019. In 2019, there was a section of the policy where we kind of made a Strongsville-specific edit, where we added a threshold to blanket purchase orders of $25,000. When the policy got revised in 2019, Neola put it back to the original template from their version, which overrode our change in 2019. And then when they usually make a change to a policy, that they'll flag what's changing based on their templates. Since this was our specific, that wasn't flagged, so it kind of got we didn't realize that it got taken out until we were looking for something to reference the policy. So we're putting that threshold back into the policy. It should have never came out to begin with. So it's kind of correcting that overwritten in from February.
Okay. Questions?
They going to make sure not to let it happen again?
Yeah, we're going to read the entire thing rather than looking for the red changes.
Yeah, I mean, it's also incumbent on them. We pay them for the service.
Right.
I would think they
Yeah, and I
need
didn't
to-
realize, that was the first time that happened to me, I didn't realize that when they send us those changes, if we had made any specific changes, that it just reverts back to their original template. I thought they'd take our templates and make those edits, but
Okay.
found out this way.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks, George. Next, we have Board of Education.
It was
Do we have to
it was a
vote?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yep. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavcik, seconded by Mr. Griffin. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, George, can you take the roll?
Ms. Stavcek?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissell?
Motion carries. Next, Board of Education, other. Any miscellaneous from the board?
I have one.
Go for it.
A resident informed me that Strongsville Spirit Shop at the rec center,
Yes.
which has been run by Mrs. Sue Wallach, and my tie is from the Strongsville Spirit Shop, and a lot of everybody's Mustang gear is from the Spirit Shop, but Sue, the Spirit Shop, is celebrating its 25th birthday
Yes.
this year. Not Sue, Mrs. Wallach is not celebrating her 25th birthday, but the Spirit Shop is. So if you are at the rec center and you get a chance to see Sue or anyone working there, wish them a happy birthday.
Thanks, Rich. All right, any other miscellaneous? I just want to wish our Mustangs a happy first day of school. Our next meeting is after school starts. I know we're not meeting, we've got like a little break here. So happy first day of school to some very happy students, I'm sure.
And we have another week for the sales tax holiday.
Yes.
So take advantage of it while you can.
And sign up for half-day kindergarten.
And congratulations to Strongsville for being voted number 6 in the country as
Yeah.
a desirable place to live. That was talked about a lot today.
Yes, it was.
Yes. All right, any other miscellaneous? I'll send you the article.
I love this.
Who voted?
It was like Realtor.com.
Yeah, it was Realtor.com, but CNBC picked it up. It was on 1100 this morning. They interviewed Mayor Persiak about it.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of traction.
Yeah, it wasn't a vote. We just have the most, 44149,
Yes.
according to Realtor.com's methodology, is the number 6th most attractive place to buy a home right now.
Who here's in 44136? You're in Medina, you don't even have a say.
Yeah,
I know
where
the
was
zip
Medina
codes.
on that list?
I didn't see it.
Any other miscellaneous? All right, hearing none. Next, executive session. We do have need to go back into an executive session to,
Consider matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes, as well as to consider the employment of a public employee.
do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavcik, second by Mr. Griffin. George, can you take the roll?
Ms. Stavcek?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
And Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Motion carries. We will enter into executive session at approximately 8:55. We do not see a need to resume public session, so I just want to wish everybody a great night.